You're 49 at Q school. I bet the average age is about half that. What do you think?
It's certainly not any higher than about 26.
Because I went when I was 32. I flew out to Nebraska and went out there, and I was shocked at the people you play with, just the variety. I had, 19, 20-year-olds, and then I had a couple of guys that were in their early 40s. They're grinding, didn't even look like they liked golf. It was more of a job than a passion project anymore. So what was your experience like out there? Do you have any good people you played with? Or are you thinking too, like when you see them hit a target, like that's not the right one? Are you still kind of thinking from the decade point of view?
This course, I mean, they played it. It's a future residential course. And so it's 100+ yards between most greens and tees. I knew it was going to be a difficult walk for me. I haven't walked 18 holes since June. I had kind of not a heat stroke in June, but I definitely had some struggles at the Texas Amateur. And then I tore some rib muscles in early July. So I just really haven't played much golf. But typically I play decent. So I'm like, man, this is going to be a tough walk for a 49-year-old who hasn't been walking. And so what was I thinking out there? Well, I sent myself an email on Monday, the day before it started at 1:00 when I was out there, that said, don't forget tape for your heels. Well, I forgot tape for my heels. And so I get a blister during the first round. I was like, you know what? I already look stupid out here as a 49-year-old. I'm literally just going to bring Crocs. So I don't use slippers in my house because it makes my feet sweat. So I literally have a pair of Crocs that have never once left my house because I'm embarrassed of them. And I took them. I had those Adidas shoes that have the zip on, the little turnstile tie on, so I could just like a NASCAR pit stop. You could just pop those shoes off and the Crocs on real quick. So I chipped and putted in Crocs and walked in Crocs.
Taking your shoes off every shot?
Every single shot, and walked in Crocs. Yeah, popped them back on. I would carry my shoes.
There's no video of this?
The bag down.
Because that would just be awesome on Instagram. I said, "There's no video of this because this."
I posted a picture of me standing on 5 tees in Crocs. So yeah,
okay, I need to check that.
It was out there. I don't know if I put it on Instagram. Yeah, I don't know if I put it on Instagram or not. I definitely put it on Twitter. But the point being, the course is a residential course in the future, but they still don't have the houses up yet. And they usually actually have like interior out of bounds set up from where they will be. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, they took it down earlier this summer. And I asked one of the head pro, I'm like, are they going to put that back up? I assume for Q School. And he said, yes. And they didn't. And actually the out of bounds, most of it, like probably a quarter of it was awful. It would be a lost ball, but literally like 75% of it was 100% not only playable, but like totally fine. And so like the one par 5 that I said I birdied all 4 days, it's a dog leg left around these bunkers. It was so bizarre to me. The kids were out there just playing it to the right, bringing both bunkers into play. And I was hammering it out there left, and I had like gap wedge in.
Wow.
There were some things that's just really strange. But more importantly, again, sure, I had 18 birdies. I shot 7 under. So then I had roughly 11 bogeys, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I had 11 bogeys, which is, 2 and change around, almost 3 around. That's too many on this course. But then I'm watching some of the scores that some of these other kids are shooting that I've worked with and played with. And I'm like, you're too good of a player to make that many bogeys on this course. There's just no doubt in my mind you're trying to force things. And the problem is you get behind the 8 ball. So you start off, all right, I'm going to play some good, smart, disciplined golf. And then you try to force something. And then you make a silly bogey or double, like, oh my God, now I'm going to really force something. And now I'm like 4 over, and it's just like the wheels, and especially in Q School, your mind starts racing. I mean, I'll say in the first round, I started on 10 and I bogeyed 11 and 13. And I was like, dude, seriously, don't shoot 76 here. Like, I have the same thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing here? wasn't even really wanting to play that much. I'm like, what am I doing here? But I recognized the thought. I'm like, that's just not helpful. It's probably stupid, and it's at best not helpful. And it was like, you had talked yourself into starting this round. There's no way you shoot over par on this golf course. Sure, you've made 2 bogeys early, but that doesn't mean you have to shoot over par. The course is still the same course.
Right.
And I played the last 12 holes 500 to shoot 69. Again, it's anecdotal that it worked. I'm just trying to show you that was my mindset. Also was don't shoot 76, but also I caught it before I tried to force things and did shoot 76 and just said, just stick with your game plan. Even if today's not your day, just shoot whatever you can. And I just do believe that most young players get out there, they get emotional, they let the emotions start making the decisions, and then you're going to wind up making a ton of bad decisions. That's, again, not to just like keep pushing Decade, but the one thing that Decade does for you is even if you want to be as mad as you can be, if you can just take 5 seconds and run the script, you're at least going to make a good decision. Mm-hmm. You're going to pick at a minimum a solid target. Now, can you set your emotions down for 20 seconds and actually hit a shot at it? Who knows? But that's the one thing that, like Stuart Sink, he bought the app out of the App Store the week before he won in Napa a couple years ago, and then he wins 7 months later in Hilton Head, and they had him on PGA Tour Radio. And what he said exactly was like, I know it's making pretty solid decisions, but more importantly, like I just trust it and it keeps me fresh. I just let that thing, so it keeps me mentally fresh throughout a 72-hole event. And I don't think that I ever would have really understood how important that aspect alone is of just staying mentally fresh. I mean, again, I've finished 4 straight 5.5 hour Q school rounds. And sure, my body was exhausted, but like mentally, it was definitely the freshest I had ever felt finishing Q school rounds. And, I've played, I would think 100 of them in years past. And it's an exhausting 5.5 hour death march. And this one, I didn't have to think, but again, even still, like the last 9, as I'm on the cut line for sure, your thoughts start picking up pace. You start going a little bit quicker internally. And again, a lot of what I talk about with meditation and just all these target selection things is a lot of just recognizing, okay, dude, that's going on right now. You're starting to think and move quicker. Just be aware of that and try to control that a little bit better and make sure you run the script and don't make a silly mistake. I forgot the wind or this or that, and just make better decisions.